Welcome to our 5 on 5. Pleased to be joined today by Democratic Secretary of State candidate Cameron Smith. Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. So this is your first run at political office, as I understand it. Why are you the best candidate for Secretary of State?
So I am running not as a politician, running as a Marine, a veteran, an advocate, and a leader for Oregon. And that's really what I want to bring to the office, make sure that we have someone that's bringing that leadership and not that self-interest or necessarily for one party or over the other, and really try to stand up and advocate for all Oregonians.
So you have some state-level experience in different offices. Tell us about that experience and why you think it'll help you in this position.
So I think what I bring in my background and qualifications really have dedicated my career to service, whether that was leading Marines on 3 tours in Iraq, whether it was serving as a policy advisor for 3 Oregon governors, or standing up and building and leading agency teams to stand up and advocate and be a champion for our veterans, our seniors, our consumers and workers and their families.
How relevant is that state-level experience? Because not all offices are the same. How relevant is that to what the Secretary of State does?
So I think it's hugely helpful to have that statewide experience, that executive level experience building and leading teams, but also whether it was for a population of veterans working across all of the different policy areas, across healthcare, mental health, education, economic opportunity, having gone through some audits myself, so the audit division is a key responsibility of the Secretary of State, and to be able to use those audits not as a stick to beat up on our frontline teams, but to really align those budgets and policies and politics to make sure that we're supporting and empowering our frontline employees.
Why politics?
I think it's I love making a better Oregon, and I think right now it is certainly a divisive nature and a divisive political moment, certainly at the national level, and it's trickling down to the state and local level, and disrupting what I think of as the Oregon way, where normally we bring people together, we build common ground, and we use common sense to solve the challenges that we face. That is the opportunity that we have, and right now, all of the things that are somewhat under attack for those basic building blocks of democracy, those are in the wheelhouse of the Secretary of State's division and department. How do you have fair and open elections? How do you expand access to the ballot? How do we make sure that we have election integrity and election security to make sure every vote is counted? All of those things are the building blocks of democracy to make sure that we deliver on our promises for Oregonians.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. Much more in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again here with Democratic Secretary of State candidate Cameron Smith. We talked just before the break about why politics. Why this position? It's an interesting one, especially for somebody coming from outside the political realm.
So I think it's underappreciated. It is the second constitutional officer, second to the governor, so you get to be a statewide leader, but also have broad responsibilities, whether it's through the elections division, the audits division, the corporation division. And I think we talked a little bit about those audits, but through the corporation division, how are we fostering economic opportunity across the state? How do we have small businesses starting, growing, and thriving? Right now, we've got an affordability crisis across everything from childcare to housing to healthcare to education and retirement. We need to make sure that we're growing our economy and supporting those small businesses, and that's one key responsibility of the Secretary of State.
You're running as one of 4 Democrats, I believe. As of this morning, there was no Republicans running for the Secretary of State seat, or at least none that they've announced. 2 of the Democrats you'd be running against are former legislators in Salem. Another is somebody who made a congressional run. How do you plan to stand out amongst them?
So I think in the absence of a Republican candidate, we're picking up a lot of bipartisan support, and I live up in Portland, but also want to make sure that we're hauling all over the state to make sure we're really representing all of Oregon. And I think while we have partisan primaries for Secretary of State, much of the responsibilities that we have as Secretary of State are nonpartisan in nature, and really trying to model what is that Oregon way going forward. And I think what sets us apart from the other candidates are that we are not a politician, or I am not a politician, and really trying to bring that leadership and executive experience, not just to say what we want to deliver, but actually be able to deliver on those promises once elected.
Thanks very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back.